house looked like. The back wall was missing, and we looked in, and nothing was touched. It was all perfectly set where it was left.
Yeah, you could see all the clothes in the closet with the back wall of the closet removed. You could see the bedroom. The headboard was there. The bed was there. The bed was made. Everything was there, but the wall
Was gone.
Is gone. The whole side of the house was gone. Mark, I'd like to talk about our approach and how we arrived on the scene. What we did was we took a back road, and we parked the vehicle way out of the way, and we walked. And we would just walk up to a property owner, and we would just start helping them. We didn't introduce ourselves. We just started helping. And 15 minutes later or so, they would say, "So what's your name?" And we became part of their family.
Yes, we did.
And I think that is the approach that if you're going to go to Joplin and help people, just park your vehicle out of the way so you're not blocking traffic, and just go help somebody. You'll know what to do. No one needs to tell you what to do. All you have to do is be a friend and listen. And I'll tell you what I said, probably the single phrase that I said more yesterday than probably ever in my life was, "I'm sorry."
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. And
Are those tears I see, Mark?
Yeah, that's just real stuff right there. And you see the emotion and the compassion and the hurt, and you wanna do something, and you want to do a lot more than you can. But just being there, listening and helping makes a world of difference. I remember, when I was in Katrina, Vince, down at the Gulfport area. And I saw the destruction, and I was there for 2 weeks, and I left, and I felt so guilty for leaving because I got to go home to a family and a home and civilization again. I felt the same way when I left Joplin yesterday. I felt guilty leaving those people in that situation because the world as they knew it is over. They got to completely rebuild. They're going to have to get new jobs. They're going to have to find new homes. Many of them will never live in Joplin again.
There may not be new jobs.
They woke up Sunday morning. Has this occurred to you? They woke up Sunday morning, or they had noon. They had 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Sunday, nothing out of the ordinary. They had their jobs, they had their homes and all that. And at 6 o'clock, give or take the minutes, whatever, but they got up Sunday and their world was all intact. Like that. You don't know, guys. You don't know.
They were very fortunate to be able to wake up 20 minutes later after it was all over to still be alive. If you saw that, if you saw the destruction, you would see that a paper clip running at 200 miles an hour could kill you. A paper clip. And what we saw were 2x4s, 2x6s, steel sheets, trucks, cars, tires. I mean, the stuff that we saw flying was just unbelievable.
Yeah, and then the story, we went to one couple's house, and we saw a gentleman there trying to move appliances out of his home. He's trying to salvage anything. A lot of homes are just completely demolished. They're not there anymore. They're probably 50 miles away in debris. And then there's partial destruction, 3/4 destruction, partial destruction, and people are trying to salvage anything they can. And we helped one gentleman move some appliances from his home, and we got to talking to him about what they heard, what they saw. And the gentleman there, I think his name was Brian, he said, "Yeah, we heard the sirens, and we heard the storm coming, and we thought, okay, we might want to go ahead and get in the shelter. We've done this before, nothing, but, just to be safe, we'll go down to the shelter." They get everybody in the shelter. He said 20 seconds after they go into the shelter, he said, all broke loose.
Right.
And and they came out, he said, probably 10 minutes later, and the world as they knew it was over.
Mark, we've said many times on the radio and on stage, people are used to water coming from the faucet, food coming from the store, and if you don't feel like cooking, you go out to eat. In Joplin right now, there is no faucet, there is no store, and there's no restaurant, just like Fukushima.
And there's no money. We talked about
what is that Fukushima update, by the way? I don't hear anything.
There's a news blackout. It's still leaking radiation.
I know it has nothing to do with anything, but you said it.
Well, I mean, what you saw on TV when that tsunami hit, very similar pictures are being seen right now in Joplin. But think about this: the bank's gone.
The bank's gone.
There's no ATM.
There's no electricity to run the bank.
There's no money. There's no commerce.
A credit card is worthless.
If you had money in your pocket, where would you go to spend it?
You can't.
You can't. That's the world in Joplin, Missouri today, folks. And we'll be back we got our last break, and we'll be back to finish up with maybe a story or two before the end of the program. I'm Mark Wright. This is Vince Finelli, and we got our producer, Rob, who's also participating in the USA Prepares radio program today on 1340 AM, the Ozarks Big Talker. We'll be right back. And we're back on USA Prepares on 1340 AM, the Ozarks Big Talker. I'm Mark, and I'm with the original survival economist, Vincent Finelli, today. Vincent, we saw a lot yesterday.
We saw too much, Mark.
We saw a lot. You're right. Too much that you can't. Some of these pictures are ingrained in my mind, and I can't get them out, and I probably never will get them out. When I was volunteering efforts during Katrina, those pictures have never left. And when you go to bed at night, you think about this. You can't sleep. But you know what? They need help. They got to have help, and there are a lot of good organizations that we know. We were on the ground. We saw what was happening and what wasn't happening, and it's mass chaos. It's confusion. The catastrophe is so large that there's no centralized, organized effort because it's too big of a catastrophe. So what we're telling people is, don't let that be an excuse to not go down there. Those people need your help. They want your help. We know, for example, the Salvation Army. I spoke with the Salvation Army spokesman last night, and they said, Mark, we need your help. We got trucks coming in all hours of the night and day, and we need people down here to unload those trucks. So if you have an interest in going down and volunteering and you want to do something, call the Salvation Army here in Springfield, and they will set you up to do some tangible work and volunteering efforts that will make a difference in somebody's life.
That's right. We called all the agencies, and they've got men and women on the ground, ready, willing, and able to help, and they're helping right now, and they can use more help. So, yes, the Salvation Army is awesome.
Another organization that we saw there as we were assisting people that even came up to offer us water was the Convoy of Hope.
They had a vehicle with... They had a pickup truck loaded down with cases of water, and they were distributing it to people that needed it. They'd ask, do you need water? And they would hop out of the truck and bring it right to you. So that's another organization that is worthy of consideration.
And I know when we walked up to Missouri Southern, we saw an AmeriCorps banner where they were accepting volunteers, and they were trying to coordinate and put volunteers into the community, which I found very helpful. And, Vince, we saw, I think you saw, didn't you say in the news, what did the news leader say this morning?
Well, I didn't see it. I got a call that said the newspapers are advising no self-deployment. That means don't go unless you're on somebody's list. Now, how do you feel about that, Mark?
Well, I disagree with that. There are a lot of wonderful individuals down there that are making a difference, that are saving lives. God bless our emergency management personnel and our fire and rescue and search teams. They are doing yeoman's work. They're working 24/7 down there, but there's not enough. We need as many people that we can get down there. There have been volunteers who have gone down there and pulled people out of the rubble alive. Yeah. And that's wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And not a lot of people know this, but I participated in helping someone survive a fiery death. And I didn't know whether that person lived or not. And I found out from the state police a few days ago, actually you were there, and I learned at the same time as you that person did live. And that's a good feeling to know that, going
well,
forward.
I mean, even in that situation, the emergency management people showed up on the scene, but they would have showed up too late, and the person would have died if it was not for your efforts and other volunteers, Good Samaritans, pulling that man out of that fire. And that's exactly what's happening in Joplin. I'm absolutely convinced. Now, statistics tell us that if you're trapped in a situation and you don't get assistance within 72 hours, that the likelihood of you surviving that situation is almost zero. We are nearing that 72-hour mark in Joplin, Missouri. I am absolutely convinced there are still people trapped in debris that could potentially be saved if somebody got to them today. And I would hope that would be the case.
I would hope that somebody would come and get me and you and our friends and our family without waiting for other people to tell them to do it. Just take it upon themselves to be good neighbors and good community members.
Absolutely.
Just help.
And when we went down there yesterday, we saw all kinds of churches in the area. We had heard from people who said, well, I haven't seen anybody, no agency, no volunteer, except I did have somebody from the church come by with some food and some water and had a list that they were seeing if people needed help. Now, here's the situation. There's a lot of people down there that obviously have family and friends that are helping. And then there's widows who don't have anybody to help them. Senior
citizens that just can barely get along under normal conditions. And this is just unimaginable. The mental anguish that they're going through, it must just be awful beyond belief. Of all the people that we met, we asked them if they needed help, all of them. Nobody said no. Everybody needed help.
Yes, they did. They needed help. And I'm reminded by the one story that we haven't talked about, the couple that we went up and started speaking to them. And the lady, I asked her, what happened? What did she hear? And she told me the storm was coming. And she told me something fascinating. She said, I went across the street and I got my neighbors. And I told them, you don't have a basement. Come to my home and get in the basement.
And she saved their lives.
And that's exactly right. When they left the basement at her home, across the street, the house was demolished.
It was gone.
It was gone, and the home she was in was mostly gone. And those are the kind of stories being told in Joplin, Missouri. People helping people saving each other's lives, and people helping neighbors that they've never met before, strangers coming up from who knows where, helping. And it's a wonderful story. It's the American experience. And I know, Vince, you're encouraging people in our audience in the coming weeks and months. People in Joplin need your help. This is going to be a massive operation. Don't forget about it. Pray for these people. Give them supplies. I know gloves and the bags and the plastic tubs and things like that would be very helpful right now to those people down in Joplin. And so I think if you have the opportunity here very soon, those would be helpful items for people.
Mark, did anybody ask you for money? Any of these victims? Did anybody say, hey, can I have some money? No. Nope. They just wanted trash bags and some help and some labor and some compassion and somebody to talk to.
Well, Vince, I think back, you and I started USA Prepares Company primarily to organize the Get Prepared Expo and to help people get prepared for this specific type of disaster. And, it was just 2 weeks ago. We had the expo. We actually had, storm shelter exhibitors, and people came and saw them and ordered them. And I just got to thinking about that the other day. People who had storm shelters were obviously protected, and those that bought them that day will install those and potentially be protected from these type of storms. I think of our good friends down at Missouri Storm Shelters that this is what they do for a living, and how many lives did they help save by creating such a wonderful product? I was looking at an ABC story here, tornado-proof houses and having safe rooms and panic rooms and things of that sort that will protect people during these storms. And I think a lot of folks are going to have a new appreciation if they have them. If they don't have them, I think they ought to give some serious consideration about getting them after what happened in Joplin.
If you're in a tornado and you don't have one, and you don't have a basement, there's no place to go.
Well, and that's when it's helpful. Either you have one or you have a neighbor who would be willing to help, like that lady we met in Joplin yesterday.
Yep, we met a lot of nice people.
Got any closing thoughts?
Yeah, I do. Above all, honesty and integrity. What happens next
Is up to you.
is up to you.
You need